Ellen J. Monroe Drama are celebrating the history of women's football. Historical facts have been mixed with imagined speech to enhance the narrative. The First World War saw a dramatic revival of women's football.
I just love Ella Redford. She looked right glamorous today with first all round her shoulders.
How'd she manage to kick ball with those heels on her boots, I'll never know.
Oh, she's so kind.
Aye, the way she kissed captains before kick-off.
I hope that don't catch on.
What you mean?
Well, I for one don't fancy being kissed by Mayor of Preston with his big curly whiskers.
I know would I.
What are you doing, ma'am?
I'm adding some feathers to me hat.
Why?
Didn't you see that Mrs. Wood's hat? I couldn't have her with a bigger hat than mine next match, can I?
Oh, ma'am.
What? A woman has hat says it all.
Aye, well, it depends what else you're wearing. I mean, a big fancy hat will look right with clogs and a shawl.
Aye, she dresses in clogs and shawls. She's the prettiest of them all. None could be fairer or rarer than Sarah, my lass from Lancashire. Thankfully, we don't have to wear clogs and shawls these days. Today's match was a right good un. You and Lily played real well. She'll always be on your side. You know that, don't you?
Aye, I do. She bosses me about a bit, but if anyone else tries to do the same, she's there like a shot. Although, I didn't think it'd be like that when she first arrived at our house.
What do you mean?
Well, thrown at me on room. You said she could stay on one condition we shared the room. She threw me out and me night clothes after me. Well, Lily won't let me back in my own room much.
Oh, that's all right. Just leave her to it. Mind, she's got an enormous appetite. She could eat for England, that one. I admit, I am a bit out of pocket with her staying here.
Shall I speak to Pop?
Mr. Frankland? No need. We'll manage, we always do.
Anyway, Pop says Pathé, News and Press are going to be at next match too. We're playing for a charity for unemployed ex-servicemen. We're gonna play in the evening.
In the evening? But it'll be dark. Game's not played at dark. Are you supposed to see?
War Office are loaning 2 anti-aircraft searchlights. Mr. Churchill himself said they could be borrowed.
Never.
Aye, and so as everyone can see ball, they're going to whitewash it.
Well, I'll be blown.
And Bob Crompton of Blackburn Rovers is going to kick off match.
Bob Crompton? Oh, he's the one we see on the Pathé News. Handsome man he is. Perhaps you could introduce me.
Ma'am, don't let Pa hear you talking like that. Besides, I might not get a game. Pop says he'll probably play a team that took on the French. I'm not surprised neither. They beat the French 2-0 at Deepdale, 5-2 in Stockport and drew 1-1 at Hyde Road. Mind, game at Stamford Bridge was a bit of a surprise. Little Jenny Harris got knocked out by a French girl early on, so team were down to 10 and lost 2-1. Ma'am, did you hear me?
Oh, sorry, love, I were miles away.
You were daydreaming. You weren't daydreaming about that Bob Crompton, were you?
Don't be daft. I was wondering what it'd be like to kick off the ball. I would wear me hat. And more feathers, of course.
Well, Bob Crompton's retired from playing, so perhaps he'll referee again.
Oh, yes, and I'll get to meet him.
You'd be the lassie of Lancashire.
She's a lassie from Lancashire, just a lassie from Lancashire. She's the lassie I love so dear, oh so dear. Though she dresses in clogs and shawls, she's the prettiest of them all. None could be fairer or rarer than Sarah, my lassie from Lancashire.
My dearest Bill, thank you for your letter. Today's Christmas Day and I've been with Mum and Dad for Christmas lunch. What a fine spread Mum made. She even made a Christmas pudding without any eggs or milk. You would have loved it. I should like to think that you were eating Christmas pudding too, somewhere in Belgium. My mum gave me a lovely pair of gloves and a matching hat for Christmas. The clever thing had made them from one of my old jumpers that she'd unpicked. Dad gave Mum a new mantel clock. This will make you smile. He'd made a wooden box and put an old alarm clock inside it. He said it as it was an alarm clock, it could be set so as Mum could get his dinner ready on time. Mum said that if it hadn't been Christmas Day, she'd have thrown the clock at him. Your letter was such a comfort, as always, as it means that I know that you're all right. Me and Dot and Ethel are all right too. Work at Gillette and Johnson making shells gets harder, but with the girls playing football for the factory team, we've all found a new sort of freedom outside the factory yard. They've adopted me as their manager so I can be there to support them. Ethel says it'll be just like you being manager at Carshalton Athletic with Tommy and George in the team. Ethel is always reminding me that women can do as well as the men. She even says one day women will get the vote and then they'll be equal to men. I hope that means that girls will still be able to play football. Mind, Ethel's dad still hasn't been to watch her play because he doesn't approve of her wearing shorts and showing her legs. Dot and Ethel have a match tomorrow and we'll have to be up bright and early to take the tram to Craven Cottage. Dot has written to her George to tell him that her boots will run where his beloved Fulham ran. They're playing against Lions Ladies, so there should be a good crowd. The board members at Fulham have waived any charge for use of the ground as it's being played for charity. It's being billed as a great holiday attraction. We've all taken umbrage at the use of the word attraction. After all, the girls, like the rest of the team, have become very good players. Ethel takes a corner kick as good as most men, and Dot is always there to head the ball in the net. Except she complains to Ethel that the ball comes over like a bullet, and when she hits it with her head, it leaves the impression of the laces on her forehead. Last week, Dot scored a hat-trick when they beat the girls from Hackney Marshes 5-1. Mind, Dot was winded by the ball in the first half, and the referee was clearly in a dilemma as to what to do. I do not think he'd refereed a ladies' match before. Bill, you'd be amazed at the things happening at the football stadiums just now. Mr. Hart, our supervisor, told us that there was a baseball match at Highbury last week. I asked him what baseball was, and he said it's a bat and ball game that the Americans play, a bit like rounders. I said I was no good at rounders at school and I hope it wasn't going to replace football. He said, not on your Nelly. He's always saying that. And then he says, oh, pardon me, sorry, I'm sure, Nell, which makes me smile. Well, I'd better say goodbye now, my dear, as I want to walk to the post box before I have my tea. Write as soon as you're able to. Lots of love and kisses as always. Your Nell.